What's up, duelists? Today I've got a brand new quick draw list. This is a list I've been workshopping for a few weeks now, trying to get it super tuned, super tightened up. I think it's pretty close. There's a lot of concepts here that have been played in different lists in the past, and I think every single one of those lists, even my older ones on this sort of take on the deck, are completely antiquated and not really up to date with like modern theory. The general theory behind this specific list is that every normal summon in this deck is either something that's going to put you towards machine duplication or start off a crazy synchro turn like Debris Dragon, Junk Synchron, Machine and Gear Frame, which can help set up for Junk Synchron, bring back a Dark Sea, bring back a Tuningware, and then machine duplication into a big combo. So basically, every normal summon contributes to that except for Caius. There's only one Caius. You kind of just need to have that extra piece of removal that you can loop with Drill Warrior. But every other normal summon in the deck contributes to a very big synchro turn where you're like drawing 3 cards. And then the other half of the deck is cards that you want to draw into after you've resolved your big synchro turn, either with Cyber Valley or Darksea Rescue or Tuningware. You want to draw into a generic removal or stuff to convert dead cards that you've drawn. So Phoenix Wing Wind Blast is the best choice, in my opinion. Solemn Judgment, because it's just the Omni Negate of the format. And then, of course, you want to draw into stuff like Gores and DD Crow, hand traps that can help interrupt your opponent coming back and defeating you. So that's the general theory behind the deck. You basically resolve your big combo, draw a bunch of extra cards, you have a lot of pieces of interaction, and your opponent can't really play through all of it. And then on top of that, you also have Avarice, so you can do it like once or twice more. There's only 2 Avarice because you are going to see it pretty frequently when you resolve your big draw combo, and it's also kind of not a combo with Cyber Valley in a lot of cases. The side deck also looks a little weird, but it makes sense for this type of deck. In this deck, you are oftentimes not able to side out a lot of cards that are part of the combo. So, for example, like I can't just side out one Tuningware. That just doesn't make sense. I have to leave all 3 in. And the same thing goes for like leaving in my quick draws, leaving in my Machine of Fortresses. Basically, the only things we can really side out are like Return, Phoenix Wings, the payoffs that we draw into. So we're basically alternating the payoffs that we draw into after the combo for specific matchups, or we're alternating in some cards that help it make it easier to resolve that big combo, aka Royal Decree and stuff like Mask of Restrict to help interact with frogs and stuff like that. You get the idea. Cyber Dragon and Chimera Tech. I'm not even sure if these cards have really a place in this extra deck, but I've included them. Worst case scenario, you draw Cyber Dragon after you already have a board and you can pitch it to Fortress, so it's not that bad. Card Trooper helps us deal with stuff like Thunder King, which is annoying, Hamster, which can be annoying. It's just a good like extra beater that we can side in. And then Lone Fire Titanial is like another extra sort of target protection that we can bring in against Frog deck. As far as the extra deck goes, it was pretty difficult getting the numbers right, but I think these are the right numbers. We have 1 of everything that you need 1 of, and then there's 2 Drill Warrior. I do really miss Colossal Fighter. In all of my matches, that is the 16th card that has come up the next most. But a lot of the times, Red Dragon will do in the place of Colossal Fighter. So, yeah, that, and I also do miss Magical Android. Magical Android has come up a couple times too, but again, that's pretty much it. I'm going to show you guys a couple of replays. You can kind of get a feel for how this list works. It is ultimately a quick draw deck, but instead of being like a control deck where you're trying to loop Rykos and stuff, this is very much a combo deck. I'm trying to synchro with 3 of these bad boys, draw 3 cards, and then set a bunch of trap cards or interruptions and like make a Stardust and just win the game because I have too many cards. All right, first match is up against Chris Deltarune 64. I'm just going to show my hands. I win the rock, paper, scissors, which is always nice. Chris is playing frogs, which is like a dream matchup for this deck. If you expect a lot of frogs in a metagame, this deck is amazing. And I actually think this deck is really good because if you watched Snack's video a few days ago on the metagame breakdown from RBET Season 2, the first RBET of the season, a lot of people are not playing Blackwings anymore. Zombies was the most played deck in RBET Season 1. So against zombies, I think these style like combo decks crush zombies. And I think this also crushes decks like frogs, which is also picking up in popularity. Now against fairies and blackwings, maybe it's a little bit harder. They have a lot more pieces of interaction that are kind of annoying. Maybe you can make something work, maybe you can't, who knows. But against specifically zombies and frogs, this deck, it's definitely very powerful. This opening hand is exactly everything you want, right? We've got quick draw to get our tuningware in the grave. We got junk synchron. We got machine dupe. So basically we pitch, normal summon junk synchron, special summon tuningware, check for DD Crow, no DD Crow. Hold up, I got a cough 1 second. All right, I'm back. Machine duplication on tuningware. Now tuningware is exceptionally good because it can be used as level 2 or level 3. So we bring out 2 new tuningwares. We synchro with quick draw, the tuningware that's been negated, and the tuningware, one of the tuningwares that's not. We make Road Warrior. We get to draw 2 new cards. We pick up Return, which is going to be nice because we're going to be able to grab a Cyber Valley. Now we can make Army Arm or we can make Catastor here. These are kind of the situations where I do like to have Android, but I think Catastor is plenty fine. It does suck if they have brain control. It's gonna get us pretty good, but hey, whatever. We could also make a 6-star like Yugioh Guardian by synchroning with the Cyber Valley, but I kind of like leaving the Cyber Valley around in case we pick up a way to convert off of it. And we actually already have a way to convert off of it. We have Phoenix Wing, Pitch, Dandy, and then we get 2 tokens, and then Cyber Valley becomes a draw 2. So yeah, no, this hand's just fantastic. We get to draw another card. We have 8 cards, 2 of which are threatening synchro monsters, and then another 2 of which are threatening to go +1 on the next turn. So this hand's very good, and then we also have 1 piece of interaction, and then 1 like big sweeping way to come back into the game. We set the Phoenix Wing Wind Blast, we pass the turn. Opponent goes Heavy Storm, so that's a start. They need Heavy Storm plus a way to break up our board to even be in this game, and then on top of that, they have to deal with the stuff that's coming next turn, which isn't too much considering that Debris Dragon doesn't work exactly well with tuningware. That's another reason why we've gone down to 2 Debris Dragon, triple Junk Synchron. Junk Synchron works better with the little guys when they're the only options in your grave, basically. So if they break up just Ally and Road Warrior, we still have Cyber Valley plus whatever to draw 2 cards next turn, or we could summon Debris, bring back Tuningware, synchro to Iron Chain with the Cyber Valley, and draw a card off the Tuningware, which isn't bad either. So if they just clear 2 of our monsters, we're chilling. If they clear 1 of our monsters, we're chilling. They have to clear all 3 for us to be in a really, really bad spot, and even then we still have Dandy Debris coming in the future. So they pitch Substitoad, Special Swap Frog. I'm like, all right, Caius here is pretty good. Caius can answer one of the cards, but they don't have Caius. They have Thestalos. Thestalos does hit our return, but Thestalos cannot do anything about our board. So that's going to be that. I mean, this game's going to be pretty easy for us to take over. Cyber Valley's going to activate. We're going to draw a card. And now we're just up 6 cards to 3. We picked up Quick Draw, which is even more busted, because next turn we can Quick Draw, pitch Dandy, make Drill. And Drill just crushes this matchup. Usually they have some tools, but yeah. We do pick up our Caius. Now Caius could be good in future turns. We're going to get extra value off this Road Warrior now too. So we pitch Dandy for Quick Draw. We make Drill Warrior. Straight up. Then we go get the Cyber Valley, banish that plus the token to draw 2 cards. And we still haven't even used our normal summon, which is really nice. Unfortunately, we have double Darksea Rescue, but that's fine. I mean, like, that's just the nature of this deck. Eventually, you're going to draw a couple of those. That's why, like, you also want these Phoenix Wings, which is really powerful removal spells. And they can do something with this extra card advantage, basically. Okay, so we just attack it. There's no real reason to spend our normal summon here first, because if they have Gores, main phase 2, I can sack Ally of Justice for Caius, banish their Gores token. So we hit for 5,400. This is something that I really don't like. The opponent typed in lost 5,400, then waited a little while, and then played Gores. I think it's like, just type in the damage as I attack, because there's a chance I don't want to attack with Road Warrior. If you're typing in 5,400, it can be seen, and I know my opponent's not doing this, but it can be seen as sort of like angle shooting, where you're like, oh, I'll take 5,400, and then you wait a little bit, and then you're like, drop Gores. It's like, you didn't know I was going to attack with that monster. You kind of like told me to attack with that monster. I don't really like this type of angle shooting. I think it's like kind of cringe, but obviously my opponent's just shortcutting, and I would have attacked with the Road Warrior anyway, so I wasn't going to make a big deal about it here. So they dropped the Gores, which is fine. We have Caius again. We played around it, so we're just going to sack Ally for the Caius and remove the token. And now he still can't answer the Road Warrior. He has to top deck like Caius or something. We know he didn't have it last turn because he would have played it. He's at 1 card. He can attack over our Caius, but then Drill Warrior can just add it back, so it's like whatever. Here comes Treeborn. Here comes Lad. This sucks for us, like big time, and could potentially pull him back into this game. But we still have Road Warrior, which is just better than everything that they can summon. So they can't out the Road Warrior. They can kill the Caius. They stop the Drill, but the Road Warrior is still going to be a huge source of advantage for us next turn. So they attack the Caius. We take some damage, whatever. We bring back Drill. Or we don't bring back Drill. We activate it. Attack over the Lad, whatever. Lad brings back Substitoad, so they're going to try to dupe block us, which is fine. We just Dandy back, or debris back Dandy, make Ancient Fairy, bring out Cyber Valley, and draw 2 new cards. So we're just like crushing it right now. And we can just make another drill, which is what we do. So we just make a second drill, pitch whatever, banish the drill. Now it's possible I should have saved the 1-for-1, but at this point, almost all of our targets are gone, I believe. Yeah, all the Cyber Valleys are gone. All our other dudes are gone. We'd have to draw like an Avarice for it to really matter. So I think it doesn't really matter which one I hold. I think Machine Duplication is better in the case that we find Avarice, basically. So he thinks for a bunch of time here, like a very, very long time. He thinks for like 5 minutes. And I'm like, you good? And he says, doubt it. And then I was like, oh no, I was just asking if everything was all right. And he's like, yeah, no, this is GG. And then the opponent just leaves the game, which I'm okay with in this instance because I got to show off what the deck does. And also this matchup just like crushes Frogs. So like, I get it. Maybe he didn't want to play out against this matchup. It's a really bad matchup for Frogs. I get it. Plus, he said this is his first time with the deck at some point. So maybe he just wanted to try it out. Whatever. If you're a newer player, I still think it's very rude to join someone's match and not finish out the match. But maybe he had to go. I don't know. Benefit of the doubt. Next match is against Face It Gare. And this is a really cool match because he is also playing Quick Draw. And not only is he playing Quick Draw, he's playing Joshua Schmidt's Volcanic Quick Draw list. So it's a really, really cool match. I win the die roll, which is super good for us. Obviously, always want to go first. I don't know what he's playing at first, but again, our opening hand is very good. We can pitch Dandy, special summon, Quick Draw, and we have a couple of options for normal summons, but I'm actually going to go with Tuningware here. The reason being is I think in this deck in particular, when you can get Road Warrior out turn 1, it's pretty good. Like, it's pretty nasty. Getting out Road Warrior is kind of like, it's kind of like deal with this or lose immediately. Plus, this also gets us closer to Avarice, gives us potential for even Avarice next turn if we like gear frame. And like if our Road Warrior dies and then we gear frame, pitch Darksea, we can Avarice next turn. So I think this is a little bit better than going Drill. Drill is like okay here, but like in the dark, Drill against Blackwings, not that great. But a resolved Road Warrior, kind of nasty. Plus, Road Warrior is going to give us at least 2 extra draws towards a trap card. So yeah, Tuningware draws us a card. We find Junk Synchron, which is awesome. Such a good draw here. And then we go ahead and bring out Cyber Valley, draw 2 new cards. And we find 1-for-1 and Machine Duplication. I need to think here for a second while I cough, and then I will fill you in on how I'm going to play this hand. Yeah, so basically we can technically like 1-for-1 for the other Cyber Valley, and then duplicate it, and then draw 2 more cards even to try and find a trap card, which is okay. It's a -1. It's like pitch 3 cards, draw 2, but it puts us closer to Avarice or whatever. But we could also just pass and have like one of the most insane turns next turn where we 1-for-1 for Tuningware, Machine Duplication, do some crazy stuff that way. We have Cyber Valley coming off Road Warrior. I think it's better just to hold our cards. And even if they have Royal Oppression, we have a live Road Warrior, so... Well, it's not live because we can't activate it into Royal Oppression, but we have a 3000 monster. We have Machine of Gear Frame, which is pretty good under Royal Oppression. We have Avarice to draw us into more outs, so I think it's fine to wait on things. I don't think we really need to dig super far for a trap card turn 1. We pass the turn. Opponent has just set monster, set back row, pass. Now their back row is actually Treacherous Trap Hole, and I think one of the biggest misplays of the game is their use of this card. I'll show you in a second. So we normal summon Machine of Gear Frame, activate the effect to search Machine of Fortress. Now that we have Machine of Fortress in our hand's actually really good. They let us resolve Road Warrior, which is quite nasty, grabs us a Cyber Valley, and at this point, I think they should probably try to just Treacherous, pop our Road Warrior, pop our Gear Frame. Like, don't let us do anything, right? Just stop the turn. Next turn, you can Raikou pop the Cyber Valley. We've already normal summoned. Get back your initiative, I suppose. Now, I don't know what's in his hand, but, like, letting me get Road Warrior activations is kind of sus, low-key. Does he have anything he'd rather pop? No, not really. Yeah, okay. So Cyber Valley's going to activate. Going to banish Machine of Gear Frame. We're going to draw 2 new cards. And you can see the power of, like, just being able to untap with Road Warrior. We have 9, 10 cards to our opponent's 6. And our cards are all high impact because we've stacked our deck with a lot of, like, high impact draws to find off of this combo. So we're going to think for a big moment here, and I actually go for pitch Tuningware, summon Machine of Fortress, I think. Yeah. So the reason I do this is next turn I can summon either Junk or Debris, bring back Tuningware, Machine Duplication, pretty much go from there after we heavy storm. Now, I don't want to lose my stuff to a Debris Dragon here. His Raikou is going to pop the Road Warrior. So he is using his 1-for-1 pops here. Honestly, again, Treacherous Trap Hole's not that bad here. Now, I understand Treacherous Trap Hole's a little bit more of an active interrupt that can stop me from going for a Synchro play, which is big. But I think just removing these two guys is good for you. Like, the Raikou in your hand doesn't really deal super well with Machina Fortress. Neither does Trag or Debris Dragon, and the Treacherous Trap Hole is kind of awkward here because if you mill Dandy, you can't Black Rose without losing your own Treacherous Trap Hole. So maybe even setting if you're not going to use the Treacherous Trap Hole on this Road Warrior at any point, maybe just don't set it. Maybe just don't set it and like hope you mill a Dandy and you can nuke whatever it is I go for this turn. That's what I'm thinking. I feel like he was very, very passive about his use of this card, and it put him in kind of an awkward spot. Anyway, he gets 2 tokens, which is kind of lit for him. We get attack over one of them, and I'm like, all right, what's my worst card? He milled Dandy, which means Debris Nuke is kind of bad. If he goes like Debris Nuke and then sets a back row, we can't go for our play if we set Heavy Storm, because then we lose our Heavy Storm, basically. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my worst card, which is 1-for-1. In the case that he goes Debris Nuke, sets a back row, we'll still have Heavy Storm, we'll still have Avarice, and we'll still have Machine Duplication. So we can still go for our big plays next turn. 1-for-1 is definitely the worst card in our hand, so I just set it and pass. Now, on his turn, he has a bunch of options. He likes to just set Raikou and pass. Again, playing a little bit passively. I understand it, but at the same time, I just think that the use of Treacherous Trap Hole, killing the Fortress and the Road Warrior is good, because now how are you killing the Fortress? Are you just using the Treacherous anyway? Like, you could have just done it last turn and saved yourself the headache, I suppose. And then, yeah, I don't know. I think that's just the way it is. So here I go for Heavy Storm. I go for 1-for-1 first, bring out Cyber Valley. Because this is basically like, okay, I can bring out Cyber Valley for free. And then maybe banish the Fortress. I was actually thinking about like maybe even banishing the Fortress, because it's kind of going to get in our way of like being able to combo. And I was thinking about doing that, or I was thinking about just like summoning Junk Synchron, spending our first Junk Synchron for like a value play, not even burning the Heavy Storm, and like saving the rest of the cards again for like our big turn. Or even summoning Debris Dragon, bring back Dandy, make Ancient Fairy, and then Cyber Valley with one of the tokens. I think that's what I end up going for, is the Debris Dragon play. So I 1-for-1 to Cyber Valley. I summon the Debris Dragon. Yep, I save the Heavy Storm. Again, because if this gets stopped, we still have like infinite resources compared to our opponent. And if it doesn't get stopped, then they get kind of owned. So here I summon back Dandelion. He says Think on Res. And because he hasn't used Treacherous Trap Hole or like any other back row on any of my plays thus far, and he says Think on Res here, I'm thinking, okay, he has Book of Moon. That's the card he has set. So for the remainder of this sort of duration, I start playing around Book of Moon, basically. And he just says this ends up being okay. We attack the token with Dandelion. Now, the reason we attack the token with Dandelion, we don't synchro main phase 1, is because I want to be able to attack over Hamster and then kill a subsequent Raikou with Debris Dragon. His Raikou pops Cyber Valley, which is respectable, just stops us from getting 2 more draws, basically. He could have, obviously tretched and done some stuff, or popped the Debris Dragon, and then I would be forced to, like, Cyber Valley banish my own Dandelion, which is awkward. So I think this is interesting, but it ends up being alright. It's not the worst thing you could pop. Obviously, it's not as bad as, like, targeting Fortress. Plus, this also turns on his Trag if I attack directly with Debris, which I do. So I attack directly with Debris, but he doesn't drop Trag. And I'm really curious about why. Like, because if you're already, you've got Treacherous Trap Hole set, right? You can, like, just pop my 2 dudes, and then Trag's actually kind of good. Like, you could pop Fortress, pop Ancient Fairy, and then Trag can go kind of hard here. So, I don't know. I don't know why he doesn't drop it. Maybe he's, like, scared I'll do something with it main phase 2, like Brain or Mind, and then Synchro with it, because I still have the Debris Dragon in play. But I'm curious why he doesn't drop it there. Anyway, we summon Ancient Fairy, we get 2 tokens, and this is still fine for us. Like, we still have, like, all of our power cards. We still have all of our dudes in play who are, like, representing big threats. Like, he has to deal with these cards or he's eventually going to lose. He's just going to bleed cards trying to deal with them. He finds Pot of Avarice, which is big for him. Shuffles back DD Crow. That's a little bit scary for me because DD Crow is one of the few things that can, like, interrupt my play. But I figured I'm just going to slam headfirst into DD Crow. If he has it, he has it. And if not, then whatever. He loses. Eventually, like, you kind of just have to play into hand traps. I fucking hate hand traps because it's just like, it ultimately ends up being like, if they have it, they have it. DD Crow's the one I hate the least. but I think hand traps are a really big drain on this game's existence, more or less. Because it's like a different axes that you can't really interact with. You just have to play through it. And most decks honestly can't really. So there's that. Here comes Volcanic Rocket. This is, I think, his second misplay. He adds back the Blaze. He activates the Blaze, pops the Ancient Fairy. But he doesn't pop the Machina Fortress. And because he doesn't pop the Machina Fortress, it leads me to believe that he maybe thinks Machina Fortress's effect, this one right here, but before resolving an opponent's monster effect that targets this face-up card, maybe he thinks that this is just opponent's effect, not opponent's monster effect. And that's why he's been so passive on the supposed Book of Moon, supposed Treacherous Trap Hole. Like, didn't want to book it, then Raikou pop it, etc., etc. And this is probably why he's been so passive about the Treacherous Trap Hole, which makes perfect sense in hindsight, obviously. So, yeah, and it kind of confirms my suspicions here, because I go for Heavy Storm, he chains Treacherous, and he targets the 2 tokens and not the Fortress. So I'm like, oh shit, that's actually kind of good for us, because I needed to clear space so I could go for this play. So I go Junk Synchron, or I go Avarice first. Avarice, shuffle back a bunch of my guys. Draw 2 cards. This was to bait Crow. If he has Crow, he Crows on the Avarice. But he doesn't have the Crow, so I'm like, okay, my good play is going to resolve. So I draw 2. I do pick up a Tuningware, which is totally fine, because we only really need 2 in play, because we're going to Mind Control the Rocket to make Stardust anyway. So I go Summon Junk, bring back Tuningware, Machine Duplication out the second one, Mind Control the Rocket, Synchro into Stardust, draw a card. These guys are really awesome. They're like basically Goblin Zombies or Sangins. When you Synchro with them, you just replace the body that you lose. And so you're never really going card minus to make Synchro monsters. And on top of that, you're just drawing into high impact gas, which is super fire. I love Tuningware. I think it's like one of the most underused cards in this format for sure. Okay, next we pitch Tuningware because obviously want to hold the Junk Synchron. He's much better. He can make a 5-star, or not 5-star. He can make an Armory Arm next turn if we need him to and draw us a card, which is really nice. So it's like, it's a auto +1 on the summon because it's a 1800 that draws a card, which is honestly a really strong card if you think about it. Like, if you could play a normal summon that was 1800 and it said draw a card when you summon this card, yeah, that card sounds fire. Sign me the fuck up, basically. And that's exactly what Junk Synchron plus Tuningware or Darksea is. We go ahead and summon Drill Warrior. We go ahead and draw a card off of the Tuningware. And now we're just like, I have Stardust Solemn Machina Fortress. I have Junk Synchron, Quick Draw Synchron. What the fuck are you going to do? Here comes Drill Warrior attack, Stardust attack, and it's really awkward. The Trag here is 2400, so we can just attack over it with Fortress. And that's going to be that. Main phase 2, we pitch for Drill, pitch the Quick Draw, obviously hold the Junk, because like the Quick Draw is not going to do us any favors in our hand, whereas next turn we can add back Dandy, pitch that to the Drill after going for our Junk draw card play. We set Solemn, and it's just like, how do you win? You have to have back row out, you have to have an out for Stardust and Machina Fortress. You can't Debris Nuke anymore because Stardust just negates the Black Rose. It's just like really tough for the opponent here. Stardust can negate this Space Typhoon. They go for Heavy Storm just for information. They have so few cards. We got Drill coming back. We have Stardust coming back. Even if they out the Machina Fortress, they're just getting crushed next turn. So yeah, we go to game 2. And I think this deck does pretty well in these types of mirror matches, especially when the opponent doesn't know how Machina Fortress works, which I think is just my suspicion on that matter for the most part. This opening hand is a little bit slower, but it could potentially come together. Gearframe's a strong starter, can find Machina Fortress. My opponent thinks Machina Fortress is way better than it actually is, so it's kind of a threat. And then on top of that, we can get Darksea Rescue in the graveyard using that Fortress, and then any Junk Synchron or Debris Dragon, which is 5 really good top decks, turns on these machine duplications. Phoenix Wing Windblast, a little bit awkward here. Wish it was a payoff or a starter card like Debris or Junk Synchron, but overall, you can't really complain with a hand like this, especially going second, especially into no back row. And I pick up my 1 copy of DD Crow, which I'm really happy about too, because this will help stop like their Debris comeback, and it will also stop their Avarice if that's what they're going for. So we go ahead and summon Gearframe, search Machina Fortress, and then we special the Machina Fortress. The reason being, if it's Hamster, we just got to clear it. If it's Raikou, oh well, they pop our Gearframe, like same outcome. But again, our opponent thinks Machina Fortress is way better than it is, so he's not going to like Blaze Pop it or whatever. And once it's resolved, that means no Bottomless is going to hit it, basically, if he's on Bottomless. I don't think he would be because he's on Tretch, but you never know. They might side that outside in some Bottomless. Who knows, right? We attack over the Raikou. they pop the Machina Gear frame, and they mill a Necrogardener. And this is when I'm like, okay, Necrogardener is the Joshua Schmidt list. That's got to be it. And we saw DD Crows in the main last game. We also saw the Blaze Accelerator stuff. So, yeah, it's pretty confirmed that that's the list he's playing. Either that or it's a very similar list. Here, we just pass. You don't need to set Wind Blast. There's nothing I really want to discard. Even discarding the second copy of Machine Dupe is kind of like, mid. If they go like Debris Dragon, bring back Raikou, make Iron Chain, crash with Machina Fortress, that's fine. I have DD Crow to interact with that. Any other play that they make isn't really going to interact with Machina Fortress favorably outside of Cyber Dragon, in which case Phoenix Wing the Cyber Dragon isn't even that good because they're just going to draw it again next turn. So I'd rather just Phoenix Wing the Chimera Tech whenever that happens. They go for Rocket here, activate, search for Blaze. Now, nothing has changed between Game 1 and Game 2 for them to understand that Machina Fortress isn't going to Confiscation them. So there's no real tell whether or not they do actually have Shell here in their hand, but now we do know that they have Blaze Accelerator, so one of their 6 cards we do know. And they pass the turn. We pick up Mind Control, which again is going to be super great once we inevitably find Junk Synchron. Here we just go for the attack, and they don't negate it, so they just kind of trade their Volcanic Rocket for like 1900 life points and a Blaze Accelerator, which is like decent, but whatever. Again, we just pass. It's the same situation as last turn. Nothing has changed. We're just going to pass. Here they have the Cyber Dragon. They make the Chimera Tech, which kind of sucks, but we have life points to spare, so whatever. We pick up Quick Draw. This is a little bit awkward. If we had another monster, we could make a Drill, run over the Chimera Tech, but we just don't have another monster, so we have to pass again. Opponent draws a card. They don't press the advantage. Well, they press the advantage a little bit. They summon a second Rocket, which is kind of a meme that they've drawn multiples. This is one of the things I hate about Volcanic Rocket is like the first one's a +1. Kind of, I guess, if you count like Searching Blaze a +1. But then you need a conversion off the Blaze. You either need Shell or you need a Phoenix Wing. And then the second Volcanic Rocket is just a Gemini. So it's not like as good as Machina Gear Frame in a sense that like every Machina Gear Frame is going to be a +1 on the summon. Whereas Volcanic Rocket is like the first one searches you for Blaze Accelerator, but you have to A, be able to convert off that Blaze Accelerator, and then B, the second one is dead. Unless you can. So, yeah. No, we take the damage here. Kind of sucks, but whatever. We can win at 2100. Like, 2100 is actually kind of nice, too, because all we have to do is, like, kill the Rocket. If they, like, have a Necrogardener or whatever, then, I lost it. I lost my train of thought completely. Here, we're kind of in a pickle, so we have to bluff Torrential. I basically just go Lone Fire, activate, find Dandy, set a back row pass. They just go ahead and attack the Dandy. They don't play into Torrential, which is smart. But at the same time, we got them with our bluff, basically. We get 2 tokens. They attack into another token. And I think they just pass. Yeah, because they just don't want to play into Torrential. And we finally pick up one of our payoffs, 13 cards into our deck. There are 5 of these types of effects in the deck, so it makes sense. And then also we have 9 of the Tuningware Darksea guys. Well, 8 of them, considering we pitched one on the first turn. But 9 of them total that we could draw into in this position. That would actually be pretty good, too, because they combo with the Quick Draw. So here I just Phoenix Wing the back row, pitching one of our extra copies of Machine Duplication. I need to keep DD Crow. It's our only piece of interaction left over. And I'm going to keep the Mind Control because there's a good chance I end up Mind Controlling this Volcanic Rocket to do something with it. I Junk Synchron, bring back Darksea. I go for triple Darksea. I Synchro off into Bryonic. The reason I go into Bryonic is because we're going to draw 3 cards, so we can basically out this Chimera Tech for free. And we'll eventually hit a monster off of it, right? So we can pitch a monster, special Quick Draw, make Drill, Bryonic. Attack over the Volcanic Rocket. Guarantee we clear it through Necrogardener to shut off Caius. Then we can banish the Drill, and then we can also bounce the Chimera Tech if he uses the Necrogardener if we have to. So we Synchro here, pitch Tuningware. It's the worst card in our hands. Here I make a few series of misclicks, which is silly. Bryonic attacks the Volcanic Rocket. He lets both attacks go through. Now, if I'm him, I'm actually not letting both attacks go through. I have 6 cards. I'm winning the card advantage fight. I am definitely trading Necrogardener for a card in my hand off of the Bryonic pitch. I'm definitely doing that. Just because you have life total to spare, the Necrogardener is not really going to come up later on as much as it is now. Trading Necrogardener for a card is probably as good as it's going to get. We're going to have to discard 1 to Bryonic. We're going to have to discard 1 to Drill Warrior. And then if we have something like Phoenix Wing or DD Crow, it's just 2 more -1s, and there goes all our cards. So yeah, especially like next turn you could start doing things like setting bluffs, like setting Blaze, setting monsters. We can't Bryonic bounce everything. We can't even pressure you, so it's just going to be tough. In any case, we pitch Mind Control to banish the Drill. The reason we pitch Mind Control is if the Drill gets stopped somehow, it's better for us to have Debris Dragon in our hands, more or less. Anyway, he goes pitch Dandy. summon quick draw. This kind of sucks for us. We're going to have to use our Phoenix Wing, pitch our Debris Dragon. So we would have had to pitch the Mind Control regardless. Here comes Junk Archer. He Junk Archer targets the Bryonic. And now I think he makes an interesting play. I think he should just attack here. But because we didn't stop the Junk Archer, it means it's not Torrential Tribute, which means it's either a Battle Trap or it's a Phoenix Wing. And I think he's seen Phoenix Wing. I think he's seen it. Yeah, he sees it in the graveyard. So he should understand that I'm on, like, Phoenix Wings, basically. And so he shouldn't go for this Caius play, but he does. So he summons Caius, and then we Wind Blast the Caius. And this is pretty good for us, actually. This may look pretty bad for us, but it's actually pretty good for us because A, they've used their normal summon. B, we're getting Drill back. We're getting Bryonic back. So we're totally fine. We haven't really lost all that much. They set a back row. Now, if the back row's Treacherous Trap Hole, that fucking sucks, but what can you do? We bring back Drill Warrior, add back Debris Dragon. Thankfully, it's just fucking Mind Crush, which is awesome. So, yeah, they Mind Crush Debris Dragon. Here we attack with both. Unfortunately, no. We don't attack with both. We attack with just Bryonic because we can't afford to play into Gores. We know they're top decking Caius, and we can't afford to give them a 2300 Gores token and a 2700 Gores. If we give them just one of those things, like if we give them a 2300 token, we can attack over that with Drill, and then just bounce the Gores, and then they have dead Gores, dead Blaze, dead Caius, and then one real card, which we can easily play through by just Drill looping. So that's the case. But if we give them a 2400 token, then we have to bounce both. We have no like interactions, and like one dead card can actually really fuck us up there in that instance. Or not one dead card, but one not dead card can actually fuck us up pretty badly there. So yeah, it would be a Giga Choke to attack with Drill Warrior here, I think, into Gores. So that's why we don't do it. We go ahead and just set the Phoenix Wing and pass. So I wanted to keep both my interactions live, and again, they have Blaze, they have Caius, which is two cards that do nothing here. If they have Brain Control, then we can Phoenix Wing. If they don't have Brain Control, then we're fine. So, yeah, and I don't think they have Brain Control because they probably would use it last turn. And then the other thing they could have is Debris Dragon for Dandy, but then we have Crow for that, and we're fine. So it's kind of just like, we're just setting up for like what can break through a 2300 and a 2400 vanilla. They go ahead and set a monster. Oh no, they Allure of Darkness, which they sandbagged, which I think is really interesting that they sandbagged the Allure. I don't know if it's good or not, but it ended up working out for them. They set a monster and pass. Now they could have set the Blaze Accelerator to basically force our Bryonic activations. They have a dead Dark Armed in their hand. I am actually pretty shocked that they didn't banish the Dark Armed. It just seems kind of dead here, but hey, what do you know? We go ahead and Bryonic activate, pitch Solemn, I think. No, we pitch Crow to bounce because I can just set Solemn, and Solemn will stop any one card that they want to go for. It is a little bit awkward if they have Blaze Accelerator. Oh, maybe I just keep Phoenix Wing up. I don't know if I set Solemn or if I keep Phoenix Wing up. It is a bit annoying if they find Shell. But if they find Shell, they can only activate Shell twice before dropping to 1000, and then, like, you know, maybe there's a chance we can steal a win with, like, Phoenix Wing, pitch a card, and then summon Junk Sinker on attack. In any case, we end up winning, which is tight. Get owned. I think this list is really sus. I think not playing trap cards is bad. I think playing Dark Arm Dragon with, like, so few darks is pretty terrible. I think having Allure when all of your darks are just your payoff cards doesn't really make a lot of sense. I think Lila's alright. I think the Blaze and the Volcanic Rockets are pretty bad. Like, in almost every single matchup. The Quick Draw deck gets rushed down pretty easily, especially when you have no trap cards. So I think it's important to not play cards that make you pay a lot of life points, like Volcanic Shell, which you avarice back, and then all of a sudden you've paid 2,000 life points. You're starting the game at 6,000. And your opponent can just piece together an OTK pretty easily. It's much easier to kill from 6,000 in this format than it is from 8,000. I get asked a lot about this type of list. I played it in a members only video. If you want to become a member, you can check me out playing a similar list to this with Triple DD Crow in the main and Dark Arm Dragon as well. I still think that list is inferior to some of the other things you could be doing in this format. Maybe not exactly the one I'm playing in this video, but there are a lot of other things you can be doing in this format that I think are just outright better than playing the Volcanic stuff. In any case, hopefully this was an informative video. Hopefully you guys like this kind of thing. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.